On behalf of the Saskatchewan Retro GameCon, we are proud to present the 8-Bit Minute, where we interview a vendor, a sponsor, or a special guest in a fast, pixel-packed spotlight. Time to power up and press start. Hey everyone, this is Jared from the Saskatchewan Retro GameCon, and welcome back to the 8-Bit Minute. Today we are talking with Kurtis Wiebe, co-creator of the series Rat Queens. Kurtis, thanks so much for being part of this today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So I'd love to just start and just tell me a little bit about this Rat Queens project and kind of where it's taken you.
Sure, yeah. So Rat Queens is actually something I co-created as a Image comic series back in 2013. So 13 years ago. You can see the gray in my beard. It wasn't gray then. But it started as a comic book series, and then we have started developing a board game. There's a bit of a story behind that, but essentially we are adapting the comic book, which is kind of this fantasy adventure starring these 4 college-age girls whose day job happens to be killing monsters for a living. So it's kind of a comedic take on the fantasy adventure stories that you're used to. So a little bit rated R, a little bit raunchy, but it's a lot of fun. So developing it into a board game has been interesting, and we had some awesome game designers that, kind of award-winning, both Canadians out of Toronto. San Fung Lim is a well-known board game designer, and Erica Buyoris also. So they designed the game, and me and Rock, the creative team, are doing all the visualization on it. So.
That sounds incredible. And so are you taking elements from the comic book series, or is it kind of following a story? Or is it a brand new story through the board game, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, it's got the same tone and energy, right? So
Okay.
it is, a lot of the cards are very comedic, a little bit offensive. We've had to bleep some words. So it's got the same feeling that you would get reading the comic. And actually for the game itself, we created all new characters. So in the board game itself, there's enemies and villains that you'll have never seen before in the comics, exclusive to the game, which was a lot of fun actually for Rock and I, because it's been a few years since we worked on the comic book, and we're getting to live in the world again and just go nuts. And so there's some really weird and wild characters in the game that fans who've read the comics will get some new stuff exclusive to the game, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. And can you tell me about, I'm sure the process is different about writing a comic book story where you're kind of guiding the character, guiding the reader through a story, versus a board game where they're making some decisions on their own. How did that work with your creative process, or is it similar?
It's quite different. Our goal actually was, if we can get somebody to play a card and read it out loud and people at the table will laugh, then we've done our job, right? So what we're really trying to do is kind of create that feeling of, it's about these 4 characters, they're friends, they work together, they also don't get along. So this idea of friendship is actually a big part of the game. And so in that base design that the game designers made, that is very much the function of it. You're defending this town from an onslaught of monsters, and you can drop your friendship tokens around the board and other players can pick it up and become stronger. So you're helping each other. And so really what we were trying to do is get that layer at the bottom of the game. And then at the top of it, it's all the aesthetic and the comedy. And, some of the villains have like funny moves that I probably shouldn't say on the stream, but you can go check out the launch party that we have on BackerKit. And yeah, we're really going in on some of that more raunchy vibe that we want players to laugh whenever they read a card or see an event that's happening in the game. So that's the best way we can translate it, is those kind of punchy jokes that Rat Queens is known for.
That's awesome. And I know, like, for myself playing board games with friends, I mean, it doesn't take long for the humor to kind of go that way anyways. And so yeah. I'm sure to have a game that encourages that around a table with friends is just great. So I can't wait to see more of those cards.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you, maybe even from 13 years ago, or maybe just what inspired you to switch the medium to this board game?
Well, it's actually kind of a wild story. So in 2020, I actually licensed out Rat Queens to a third-party company, and they did do a Kickstarter with the same base design. But I was not involved in Rock, the co-creative artist on Raccoons was not involved. We just kind of handed it over in good faith
Mm,
and said, hey, do the job. We actually got a chance to play the base game, and it was really, really good. But in around 2023, I started getting emails from backers saying, hey, I know you're not really involved, but can you look into this? Well, long story short, we found some not so good things happening behind the scenes, and it was pretty obvious that the game was never going to ship.
mm,
So I decided that it was the right thing to do to fulfill this game to the people that love Rat Queens. I didn't get any of the money. I, uh, just like the backers, I also didn't get what I was promised. And so this really has been, we've invested with my company, Tailspinner Games, we've invested our own personal savings into it. We really feel that this is the right thing to do, not just for like Rat Queens fans, but in general, people that give their money to creatives, they should be rewarded for those efforts. And so we really believe in kind of private investment in the arts. So this was kind of a mission statement for us. So taking it over was a bit of an investigation. We really had to think about it, but ultimately when we decided to, we just thought, let's have some fun with this. And so that's what happened. Like that base game design was fantastic, but the final art assets and stuff we saw was not so good. And so
mm.
Rock and I just said, let's just top to bottom revisit this entire thing. And so that's what we've been doing since basically 2025, is completely re-envisioning the game on top of that base design. So that was the major reason why we were going to do it. And it's just kind of made me realize, always do it yourself. I mean, I could have done that, 5 years ago, and I could have made that money. So yeah, it's made me realize that whenever anything that I've made, I'm just going to do it myself. And it's a little bit more time, it's a little bit more energy. But I mean, if you look at the final product compared to, you can see the original Kickstarter and you can see what we've done. It's night and day, and it is 100% really Rat Queens because we made it.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like anything, I mean, it's a labor of love when it's something that you own, and I think it's really hard to replicate that from anyone, even if it's best
Yeah.
intentions or not best intentions. No one's going to do it as best as the one that envisioned it in the first place. So
Yeah.
that's great that you got that back. And I know, so speaking from experience with, I'm in a couple bands, and I know like it takes years to get an album out, and there's so many things behind the scenes that people don't see. Is there something about the board game process that maybe someone listening would never know, or like what was that thing that was surprised you that took so much time?
Well, it's actually a lot of work. it's and I mean, I didn't do the game design. I have done a little bit of game design in my time. I'm primarily like a writer, and I do world
Okay.
building and directing and stuff, but I've
Yeah.
done some game design. But I think the fine tuning of game design is so incredibly hard. It's getting all those balanced pieces together, and it really takes a lot more effort than you think. And then just trying to pull all those pieces together. You've got the design, but then you've got the tokens, and how many tokens per sheet, and you got to get
Yeah.
it ready for the printer. This is all new stuff to me, by the way, and I'm learning as I go. And then of course, a crowd fund. Again, I went in with a little bit of naivety, I would say. It's been an incredible amount of work. In fact, that's what I'm working on right now, is the scroll for when the campaign launches in August. Each component of this kind of crowdfunding effort is an incredible, it's a full-time job. So
Mm.
if you're going to be crowdfunding your game, prepare yourself. It's the finishing the game is half the battle. It's just all these different pieces together and trying to find the right people to help you. And yeah, it's an incredible amount of effort and work, and you kind of have to be able to touch on all points if you're the leader that's trying to get this thing across the finish line. If you think you're just going to be the game designer, it's very unlikely. You're going to have a lot of other hats you're going to have to wear.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good point. And for those listening, Curtis is going to be joining us at the convention in September, so we're excited to have you. He's going to be at the Band Destiny Comics booth, so I'm excited to see you there. And I know whether or not you have a playable game at that point or not, it'll be exciting to talk to you there. People will be able to come and ask you questions, and I'm sure see some
Yeah.
comics and things like that too. So
Yep.
thanks so much for
Absolutely.
joining
Yeah, I'm
us.
looking forward to it.
Yeah. And as this is a retro convention, we'd love to get some of your gaming history. So, what was your either favorite memory gaming, or what was kind of that first thing that really jumped out at you in your childhood?
Well, I mean, I started out when I was, probably 12 or 13 in role-playing games, like tabletop role-playing games.
Mm.
And I mean, that was ages ago. My first game experience was the James Bond role-playing game system.
Oh, okay.
Because I grew up in an evangelical household, I was not allowed to play D&D. So we got around those rules by playing James Bond and Star Wars, actually, the D6 Star Wars. But then, yeah, for as for video games, I mean, some of the early stuff like Baldur's Gate, Fallout, the first Fallout, those really big, epic role playing games were some that just blew my mind. And to this day, I still don't know how they made those games with such small teams. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I still kind of play those games, to be honest, or games that feel kind of in that similar vibe. I mean, a game like Disco Elysium recently really, not recently, I guess that was 6 years ago, but it kind of fits in those realms. And so I really enjoy those kind of party based, character based role playing games. That's always been my jam is story.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a writer, so those are the games that really drew me.
That's awesome. And I know for me, one of the games that really drew me was the Mass Effect series. And it was kind of the same thing for me. That was one of the first times where I was like, man, this story, I actually have control over this thing. And it spans multiple games and it's in space. And it's like, it's just, I totally
Yeah.
hear that. And it's hard to replicate those kind of games. They really stand out when you find the one that speaks to you.
Yeah, 100%. That also just shows that I can tell our age difference by the reference. I've been kind of working on a video game quietly behind the scenes, and the
Nice.
programmer was in his early 20s, and I'd say, "Have you ever played this game?" And I forget he's literally 20 years younger than me. Our frame of reference is totally disconnected.
Yeah, well, I'm 36, so I feel like I'm kind of in kind of the middle of worlds, right? Like, I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
Super Nintendo was my thing, but I also was able to, the 360 was during college years and stuff. So
There
yeah.
you go. Yep. Perfect.
So if you had to kind of pick, you mentioned a few great games. If you had to pick kind of your top two or three, is there anything else that really stands out for you? And it could be board games as well or tabletop.
Well, if I'm just talking about memories, one of the main games that I used to play with my friends when we were like, oh, that's 11 or 12 was Axis and Allies.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not it's not a great game now. It definitely is a game of its time, and I think for its time, it was actually pretty revolutionary as far as a game design is concerned, especially a mass-produced board game. So that one really stands out to me. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was always just role playing games, the story games.
Mhm.
That those were all my memories. Were writing stories for my friends, playing through them. Those very simple, yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition, Star Wars the D6 edition by West End Games. Those are the ones that really stood out to me. In fact, I would still play the Star Wars game. I think it still stands up to this day. But that really is for me. Those memories of sitting around the basement with my friends, playing 8-hour games of Axis and Allies, and always ending in rage, as far as I remember, especially if you were the Russians.
Yeah, those memories are awesome, and like I mentioned to a few others, I mean that's really our goal with our retro convention is all of us have grown up, and there are younger people that are loving these older things, but for us it's like life is busy, right? So 8 hours is a hard task to have,
Yeah, it is.
and so if we can have a weekend where it's like let's just turn down the noise and come in for a couple days and just have fun, meet some cool people, and play some games. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
yeah,
I love the idea.
yeah, I totally hear that. Well, this has been awesome getting to know you, Curtis. If someone's wanting to find out about your business, where's the best place, or the Kickstarter or things like that? Where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, so right now we have our pre-launch page up for the Rat Queens board game, ratqueensgame.com. You can look it up, and that'll just take you to a link. You can sign up if you're interested. Join our Discord. We have events and stuff happening there. Like I'm live demoing the game on Tabletop Simulator, and I'm also doing Q&As. And then, yeah, you can just find me, kurtiswiebe.com, if you want to know more a bit about me as a writer and as a director and more of my personal story. I share a lot of stuff on there. So those are probably the best two places currently to find out what I'm doing and what I'm up to.
That's awesome. And if you had to have any advice, if someone was listening that wanted to learn how to, make or do a world build or starting to learn how to write, would you have any advice for someone like that?
Yeah, just do it. A lot of people think that they have to achieve some sort of goal or goal post before they can really start writing their thing. And
Mm.
I mean, for me, I just started writing short stories. I used to go on an online forum back in the day called Penny Arcade. That's a big throwback.
Yeah.
And that's where I got my start. But people like Pat Rothfuss, who did The Name of the Wind, he started there. Like I kind of know him through that. So a lot of writers started out there. Just find a place where writers are sharing their work. Do a bit of short stories and kind of explore worlds and write down new ideas. Write based on your experience. Just do it.
Nice. Well, again, Curtis, thank you so much for joining us today, and we can't wait to see you in September. All the best this summer.
All right. Thanks so much.
See ya.